Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, word to my brethren out there in Washington, D.C. And speaking of Washington, D.C., let's talk about Washington, D.C.'s very own Mr. Gary Russell Jr., coming off the heels of what I think is probably the best performances of his career. A definite and true watershed moment for Gary Russell Jr. was this fight against Jojo Diaz Jr. Very, very big fight. And I think all things considered, layoff considered, level of opponent considered, um, just a very good, very professional, and ultimately a very mature and much needed performance for Gary Russell Jr. Needed in that fight with Diaz. So let me just come out and say it like this, man. Gary Russell Jr. He's been one of those guys. Probably, obviously was a talented standout amateur. Had a lot of hype coming in when he turned pro. Has been, for lack of a better word, coddled. Probably more so than most fighters. He was obviously, if you go back and look at his career, he was built up like most fighters. He fought cannon fodder, overmatched opponents to build his record up. Had a big fight, had a couple big fights, but once he got past that prospect stage, hasn't really been a very active fighter. But unlike most fighters, he seems to be okay with it. So that it's left a lot to be desired in the career of Gary Russell Jr. So that's why this performance against Diaz was very good for him. And honestly, like it says in the title, man, I think he has a chance, a true chance, a real chance to make this last part of his career, this latter part of his career, the prime of his career, a very great part of his career, to redeem his career because I would say, no disrespect to Gary Russell Jr., but he's been the poster child for just disappointing American talents that had not fulfilled their potential. To be honest with you, he has not fulfilled his potential in the pro ranks. He has not shown the growth in the pro ranks that we as fight fans here in America have been looking for Gary Russell Jr. And a lot of that stems from him just not being very active and being busy and being matched properly and being moved properly. So I'm glad to see that happen. But there's with that being said, there's a lot of good options for him at 126. He's still the WBC heavyweight champion at 126, so he could fight. The winner of Mares versus Santa Cruz, the rematch, and I think that would be a fantastic matchup for him. It would be the best way to I believe, unify title because I think one of them has the title, right? Santa Cruz has the WBA, so yeah, it'd be a great way for him to unify titles and just ultimately put another good name on that resume, validate his credentials and his talent a little more. And if not that, you could fight either the winner of that fight. There's been rumors that Carl Frampton will fight Josh Warrington at Windsor Park, so that'll be a big fight. He could fight the winner of that. Or he can move up to 130 and do what's been reported, which is what I believe. I don't know if he said it, but I know it's been reported somewhere that he stated himself he wants to move up to 130, and there's a lot of reports out there floating around that maybe a Gervonta Davis fight could happen. So with that being said, man, like Gervonta Davis, Gary Russell Jr., like that's a big fight for the Washington, D.C., the Baltimore, D.C., DMV area. That's a very big fight. Very, very big fight. And, if Russell were to beat a guy like Tank Davis, a young, strong, blue chip kind of a prospect, that's going to be great for his career. And that can only take Gary Russell further up. But he's someone that really, honestly, he should be on television more often because, I do enjoy watching him fight. When you get Gary Russell Jr. in there with someone who has a style where they sit in front of you and they fight, he makes for great fights. He does. He can. Because with his hand speed and just the amount of punches he throws, and just it makes for a good fight. I think, at least when you see Gary Russell Jr. in there throwing those 4, 5, 6, 7 punch combinations, and then you get someone like a Diaz who's in there pressuring him. So that's why that's kind of why I like to see him fight the winner of the Mares Cruz fight, because in the Mares Cruz fight, those are two guys that come that like pretty much every fight they come to fight. They come to fight you. They ain't coming in there for a box match. They come in to fight you. And Russell, he is more of a pure boxer. He is more of a more like astute, pick your shots type of a guy. So that's why I think that matchup would be good, and also it'd be a unification fight. They're Al Heyman guys, so it pretty much ticks all the boxes of if it's realistic, is it exciting, is it something the fans want to see? And I want to see. I don't know about you guys, but I want to see it. I know it's a fight that people will want to see now. That Russell's actually beaten a credible opponent, because that's what was kind of lacking for all these years. He hadn't fought, his last couple fights. He fought Patrick Hyland, who was overmatched. And then last year he fought Oscar Escandón, who, no disrespect to Oscar Escandón, tough game fighter. I respect him. I respect anybody who goes in there and puts on a pair of boxing gloves. But let's call a spade a spade. Oscar Escandón is significantly shorter than me, and I'm not a tall guy. But Oscar Escandón is only pushing about 5'1", 5 feet flat. So I'm glad he got a quality win on his resume. I'm glad he got a quality win on his resume, because Gary Russell Jr. is a good fighter. He's someone that I think American fight fans should try to campaign. Like if you're an American fight fan, like I'm an American fight fan, and I want to see our fighters do well. Like, you should want Gary Russell Jr. to succeed, and more importantly, you should want Gary Russell Jr. to be a lot more active, because he does make for good fights. And I really did enjoy his fight with Diaz, probably more so than I did with the Adonis fight. To be honest with you, I just really enjoyed the style matchup between Diaz, a guy who will put the pressure on you and try to stalk you on the ring, fighting a guy like Gary Russell Jr., a guy who's more selective with his shots, a guy who makes the shots count, a guy that throws flashy combinations. It was just a good style matchup, and it matched really well. So he makes some good fights. I like watching him fight, and I really see an opportunity for him these next 3 years to, number one, get more active. Number two, really stake his claim in this boxing game. And three, just redeem what's been a career that's left a lot to be desired. So that's just my take on it. You can give me yours in the comments down below. I will love to hear from you guys. We're coming up on almost 13,000 subscribers, so I'm very, very excited about that. I got some things in the works for True School Sports. And a couple interviews I'll be doing this week. I already confirmed on, I believe, Wednesday. So barring anything crazy happening, Wednesday I should be interviewing Stacey McKinley. We're gonna have a really deep and detailed interview about the heavyweights, heavyweights he's trained, heavyweights of today, heavyweights of yesterday. It's gonna be just a one long, ginormous sit-down interviews about heavyweight boxing. And who doesn't love heavyweight boxing talk? And to get it from a guy like Stacey McKinley is always fun. I also got another interview I'm working on with a top-level welterweight, former world champion. I can't tell you who it is yet, but once it gets confirmed, you'll hear about it. But yeah, that's my take on Gary Russell Jr., what he can do with his career. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think is in store for Mr. Gary Russell Jr. and his performance against Diaz and all that stuff. But yeah, leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just from Daniel. And that's Daniel in South Florida if you didn't know. So if you didn't know, get your damn geography up. And until next time, take care, guys.